Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Well, let's take a look now at some stocks on the move today in Europe. I'm Stephen Carroll and I'm joined by Bloomberg reporter Chloe Mele. Chloe, good morning. So, a new year boost for the miner Fresnillo, a sign perhaps of things to come for the FTSE 100 finally making it over briefly, that 10,000 handle.
Yeah, absolutely. So the FTSE 100, as you mentioned, reached that big kind of milestone, and Fresnillo was at the center of that. So the FTSE 100 trading above 10,000 points for the first time ever and having its best year since 2009. A lot of that was thanks to the mining sector. The FTSE 100 is very kind of heavily weighted towards that industry, and it was a really good industry to be in 2025, and it will be a good industry to be in 2026 because the prices of precious metals are jumping quite importantly, quite massively. A lot of that has to do with investors and central banks kind of rushing to safe havens during times of a little bit more geopolitical turbulence, and then also falling interest rates in the US making those commodities quite attractive. And so we've seen silver and gold reaching several record highs over the year, over 2025. And of course, that's great for companies like Fresnillo, which operates as gold and silver mines. And the company was the standout in the FTSE 100 last year with gains of 449%. So that's really, really impressive. And that is the best performer by a really wide margin. The second best was actually another miner, Pan African Resources, with gains of just 259%. So that really shows how crucial that mining sector has been to the performance of the FTSE 100 this year, last year. And then there's also that no sign of that is really stopping in 2026. We have seen gold and silver starting the year really strongly, and the factors that are leading to that boost are still there. So we'll have to see how much further Fresnillo can go.
Yeah, indeed. Shares up 2.6% this morning. But as you say, pretty hard perhaps to beat the gains they saw last year. Let's turn to Orsted next, filing a legal complaint against US President Donald Trump's wind farm suspension.
Yeah, it's up this morning, Orsted, on the back of that, and perhaps indicating that investors are happy that Orsted is kind of pushing back against the Trump administration. The company said that the decision to suspend the lease of a wind project that was very close to being completed violates applicable law. And so Orsted is calling for the suspension to be lifted until there's a final verdict from the court. The project, which is called Revolution Wind, has been targeted a couple of times by the Trump administration recently. Over the summer, we had a stop work order, and then a judge ruled that construction could actually resume. And now that there's this lease suspension, so that's kind of another setback there. But it means that Orsted will probably be dealing with a lot more challenges from the US after all the attacks from last year from the Trump administration, which really weighed on those shares. But there are some gains today, perhaps, as I said, on the fact that Orsted is pushing back against those decisions by the Trump administration.
Okay, and Orsted shares, up, as you were saying, 4% this morning. Let's turn to British American Tobacco next. Shares are in the red there. What's driving that?
Well, BAT is taking a hit because of its stake in ITC, which is the largest maker of cigarettes in India. And that company is taking a big hit because of a new excise duty to try and limit the smoking rate in India. We've got 250 million people smoking in India. That's the second highest population globally. So for the health of that population, those taxes will probably be good. But for ITC, it's not too exciting because we're talking about a tax hike of over 30%. If we include other charges on cigarettes that are about to be imposed as well. So that's a tax burden that's much higher than anticipated, and ITC gets over 40% of its revenue from cigarettes. So this is a new tax that could mean a big hit on volumes, a big hit on earnings. This is something that has triggered the 15% cut in earnings per share estimates for 2027 and 2028. So that's really not negligible, and we're seeing investors and analysts start to think about the impact for that company. And BAT has a stake of about 23% in ITC as the largest shareholder. So it's very vulnerable to whatever happens to that company, and we're seeing that weakness today.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.